All right, Shalom. I will give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash, double honors to the apostles of GMS, and sincere Shalom to the brothers out here pushing his truth and sincerity, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. And I'm just going into something, I won't go into the full video, like at least maybe half of that. But apparently, due to U.S. falling back on Afghanistan, they're raising concerns about the whole Israel thing. So, and just from listening to it, it sounds like, and who knows if it could be true, but it sounds like that Taliban might attack Israel. But the fun part about all this is there was technically an alliance. The alliance is just a cover up, because at this point everybody's just attacking everybody. Because at the end of this video, which I wasn't probably going to show that part, but at the end of the video, they was asking that the allies to the U.S. feel abandoned, dismayed because of the withdrawal of Afghanistan. So that in itself tells me that this is just an all-out war at this point. The ally thing is just a cover-up to make people, and not only in this society, but in all the other societies, feel like, okay, it's not that bad, or you won't get that bad yet. But it's already gotten that bad. Like we're seeing all sorts of stuff now. Now we're going to see probably Taliban and Israel going at it, possibly, and who knows? It's war after war after war after war coming on, and it's going to get to a point where there's not going to be any ceasefire. You're going to see the actual World War III coming in. At least everybody will. So I'm going to play at least maybe half the clip. Maybe a little less than that. Just to get to the main points of what's really going on today.
Consequences of a hasty withdrawal. Now that U.S. troops are out of Afghanistan, what does the future hold for Israel and the Middle East? Well, joining us is Israel's representative at the United Nations, Ambassador Danny Danon. Ambassador Danon, it's good to talk with you again. So, an emboldened Taliban now in control in Afghanistan, what does that mean for Israel?
For us, when the U.S. is strong, Israel is strong. And when the perception is that the U.S. is getting weaker, we are weaker. Those pictures that we saw coming from Kabul actually giving more strength to the radicals in Lebanon, to the radicals in Gaza, and to the radicals in Tehran. And I think the question is whether the new administration will now continue to negotiate with Tehran and will try to re-enter the agreement with Iran all over again.
And many other Islamic terrorist groups see that the most powerful military in the world was defeated and embarrassed by the enemy they fought against for 20 years. The Taliban's now in control. So how about the terrorist group on Israel's northern border? Let's talk about Hezbollah first. Do you expect them to make a move, or are they too weak financially and politically to attack Israel right now?
So the issue is the perception of strength and power. You know, I served as Deputy Minister of Defense, and I learned that it's not about the real strength you have, about the number of tanks or submarines. It's about the perception. And I think today the perception that the U.S. is weaker, and those people sitting in Beirut, the heads of Hezbollah, they know that we will retaliate, we will attack them, and I think they know it very seriously, so they will think twice before challenging the IDF. And also politically, they know that the people in Lebanon will blame them for the consequences. So I don't know what will happen. And also, you have to understand that the people in Hezbollah in Beirut don't decide. They get orders from Tehran. So the radicals in Tehran will decide when the next conflict will be here in the north.
Well, that's the big concern, is it not? What Iran is going to do. And I know your Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, recently met with President Biden at the White House. And Biden said he will not allow Iran to possess a nuclear weapon on his watch. But how can Israel trust his word on that, given that many of America's allies feel abandoned? They feel let down by the hasty withdrawal from Afghanistan. Can you depend on this?
We have to trust ourselves. History have taught us that we have to be the ones securing our future and our well-being. And I think we have a reason to worry because the new administration acknowledge that they are willing, they are eager to sign a deal with the administration in Tehran. I don't know why, but now the only reason that we don't have agreement is because the leadership in Tehran are not willing to negotiate with the US. I hope it will stay that situation because the last thing we want is another bad agreement that will allow Iran to become nuclear, allow them to send their proxies weapons and funding. We don't want to see it becoming a reality.
Many Americans believe Israel may be forced to act alone against Iranian nuclear weapons. Prime Minister Bennett suggested that Israel will take steps against the Islamic Republic a little bit at a time. So how could you stop them without U.S. military backing and support? Don't you need that?
We have the capability to defend ourselves, and if we will have no choice, we will do it ourselves. We did it in the past. I want to remind you when we destroyed the nuclear reactor in Iraq, the nuclear reactor in Syria. We hope it will not be the case that it will be only Israel against the radicals of Iran. But if nothing will stop them, we will be there to stop them.
And see, the funny part is, as far as I did some research into it, I think Israel is more heavily armed than the U.S. And as we can see, that this is going to be an ongoing thing, especially for the fact that this world is meant to be in chaos. You see, these elites fund wars. They fund any war that comes into their pockets. So there's gonna be a whole lot of rifts, a whole lot of everything going on. This is Matthew 24:6, and I like bringing it out the scriptures specifically because this is one of the many examples of war. So it says, and ye shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. The reason why the end is not yet is because there's many other things that's going to happen. There's many other wars that's going to happen. See, this is just the beginning of things. Actually, if it says at the bottom, as I'll keep reading, it says, for nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these things are the beginning of sorrows. So, as we notice, within the past couple of years, we done had wars, rumors of wars. We done had pestilence, as one of these viruses is. We done had earthquakes in diverse places, which is just not earthquakes, but different elements. Different elements going on. Wildfires from state to state. Hurricanes. And then there should be famines. Hell, a lot of stores have been closing down, especially since this pandemic kicked in. So we're seeing a lot of things kicking in, going off as things start to flare up. People's flaring up, people causing riots, because those are one of the rumors of wars. Because you just don't have the war of World War III, especially since especially since the U.S. just left Afghanistan from a 20-year war that's been going on up to now. So that war never ended. So you mean to tell me we've been in this 20-year war for all this time, and nobody ever thought about it? No one ever thought about it. They said this was a war, a 20-year war. That's what they've been saying, the 20-year war. And people think we haven't had war in how long? Just because it ain't a world war doesn't mean it's not a war. But see, now we're kicking into a world war where everybody's fighting against everybody. We done had several accounts of how Israel versus I can't never say the name right, but Gaza, if I'm pronouncing that right. Then there's how the war that they just backed out of, far as the U.S. and Afghanistan, and now we're about to go into another. They're about to soon another war about to spark off with Israel against Taliban, or if that goes into a thing, which I won't be surprised if it does, because it's all part of the plan. But we see where things are leading up to. Things are getting darker and darker as we go by. And this is happening pretty quick. We're hearing more Sluggy. We're hearing more and more about these news by the day. By the day. That's why I'm always doing videos on these. Because we're marking the time where we're coming close to this place falling. That's what it's building up to. It's just this. How long before this war is pronounced a war to these people? And then when did this dollar crash? Those are the things that we see happening coming into this thing. And when this war kicks off, Esau ain't going to be able to have nowhere to run. Especially, I'm talking about not just when this war kicks off. I'm talking about when, especially the Lord comes back. The Lord's is going to make a whole rift between everything going on. When this place is destroyed, these elites have nowhere to run. They had nowhere to run. Actually, I could get a script. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just thought about it. I could get the scripture on it. This is Malachi 1:2. It says, "I have loved you, save the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us?" Actually, hold up. Is this? Yeah, okay. Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Save the Lord. Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, that had laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. See, even the Lord saying that, hey, there's only Jacob I loved. Esau, he was just a pawn. And that's what Esau didn't like. He didn't like being the pawn, so he's using us as the pawn. It says, this is verse 4, it says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. And that's his inner thoughts of when this place is destroyed ultimately. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. And actually, this is even going back to when this place was originally built. Is it when they talk about they should build the desolate places? But it's the Lord saying they should build. Yeah, you could build this place, because y'all done made this land desolate by killing the natives. And as I even read into a little bit more into the history, they be killing off a bunch of the buffaloes, which is why you don't rarely see them. That's what made the land so desolate. It says, they shall build, but I will throw down, which means he's going to throw down this place. He's going to destroy this place automatically. When this place, when they try to reopen this place, when they done trying to chip people, nah, the Lord says you could build it, but once you shut it down, it's staying down. Because the moment you try to open it back up, it's going to be destroyed. It says, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. And that's exactly what it is. It's the border of indignation. The Lord don't even like them. So this is Ecclesiasticus 16:13. It says, the sinner shall not escape with his spoils, which means Esau cannot escape with us. He can't escape having these other foreigners, or I should say these other nations, Salaki. He won't have these Arabs in his pocket. He won't have these Russians in his pocket. He won't have any nation in his pocket. It says, "And the patience of the patience of the godly shall not be frustrated," which means once this is all over, hell, we're frustrated, but we're not heavily frustrated because we know that the Lord is going to redeem us. Lord willing, I'm of the elect and various other brothers. But the fact that we have to wait on the Lord, and we understand that we have to wait on the Lord, makes it so it's not that much frustrating. Yes, we don't like being under Esau's servitude, but this is what we have to do. But we know that the Lord is the one who's going to be seeking the revenge. It's not up to us. That's why we ain't like the black freedom fighters out there. Because when World War III kicks off, they talking about these black freedom fighters, they're going to be probably the same ones going up in that military. Probably willingly going in there just to try to save this place. There won't be no surprise. I won't be surprised if that's the next thing that comes in. When they can start recruiting a whole bunch of black freedom fighters. But that's pretty much all I wanted to go into with that. So just because I wanted to show this, and I stay keeping up on. I like to stay keeping up on some of these because we can see the times is shifting. It's a massive shift compared to how a couple of years ago it was. Like when this virus kicked in, maybe a little before the virus kicked in, we started seeing the shift. We started seeing how the motion flow was a lot faster than what it should have been. Because all this stuff picked up in a matter of time with no time. And it was quick compared to any other time. But that's all I have going into that. So with that, shalom.